Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast.
And in this episode, we will be giving you our review for Deadbringers, now all episodes streaming on Prime.
And for this episode, we also brought our baby brother twins with us. Say hi. They'll just be sitting quiet here for the review. But Akram, this was a very interesting adaptation of the novel, and of course there was the movie with Jeremy Irons. So what did you think of this series?
Yeah, I am not an aficionado on David Cronenberg's work. I seen The Fly and I seen his son's work. So I think for the most part, from the info I got from the original, this is a cool twist on the original movie. Some things worked well, and I liked how they brought more modern concepts as well to this. It was really interesting, and also Rachel Weisz did a phenomenal job.
Oh, she was amazing in this movie, and yeah, I agree. I think it's a very scientific kind of adaptation, and I like that a lot. What I loved about this adaptation was, in comparison to the Jeremy Irons movie, was I liked that the main characters were actually women. I think it just made sense because this is a very maternal and a very sisterly like story. And it just makes sense because it talks so much about, pregnancies and, the struggles of, being a mother. So I think that it just made sense.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point. Honestly, this is because usually in this channel, we call out something a spade. If something's wokey chokey, we'll call it out, but we're not biased, right? We don't have an agenda. So for the most part, this was, I think, a perfect gender swap. This made so much sense. This was great. This is like, I think in a way kind of better than the original, the way how they did this. I also liked, it's really interesting because abortion is a hot topic right now. I like how they gave a different perspective on it. It wasn't like, it wasn't really pro-choice. It was kind of like, not in a sense also pro-life, but it was like, we need to help women with their fertility. Right. And especially, one of the twins, Beverly, she was really like, she just wants to save people, right? She's a very, I'd say in a way, she's a little bit more kind-hearted than her sister. And the most, actually, which is interesting, because in the show, there's a twin that maybe is a little bit more perfect, and Beverly's like thinking that Elliot is. I found that really interesting.
Props to Rachel Weisz, because she somehow made these two characters very distinct. And I love that. You can definitely, it's still hard to tell sometimes because, they look so similar, but their personalities are their defining traits. This movie made me think of, what's that movie with Tom Hardy? I think it's called Legend.
Oh, yeah.
It was like two brothers and they had like kind of like similar personalities, but they still, like one was more very outspoken. One was more like extroverted, and the other one was like more like reserved, right? So Beverly is kind of the more diplomatic of the two. And then Elliot, she's like the free-going kind of girl, but they have like similar tastes and similar interests, and similar to the other movie, they share basically everything, even their lovers, right?
Yeah.
So Beverly has her eyes on this girl named Genevieve, and I think it was Elliot that was originally, she saw her first and she's like, oh, you want her? Like, I'll get her for you, right? And then from there, it starts to escalate in terms of like their codependency on one another. Right. Because I like that this show like touched on like their relationship as they really can't separate each other. Their whole lives are basically each other, right? Like they, even if they're gone, like one of them is gone for like it was like 2 days, like a weekend. Right. They don't know what to do. They're just so purposeless. I like that exploration.
Yeah. Again, I think the original poster said something, one soul, and you can't separate your soul. You can't really split it. And they have a really interesting dynamic. I know the cast, when they do interviews, they keep referencing the word delicious. And we kind of see some of that with like the neck biting, or like if they get mad, they bite themselves. It's really interesting how intertwined their being is with one another. And I also like how they approach the scenes, because I felt sometimes confused. I was like, which one's Beverly? Which one's Elliot? I know that they changed like the clothes and the hair, but sometimes they do something where it's like, especially trying to rizz up Genevieve, I got confused in certain scenes because it was like pretty like fast paced, just the scene changes. I was like, oh, which one is which? And I think that really added weight to they both are trying to, in a way, they both kind of love Genevieve. They have like a different type of love. I think Elliot she became more jealous just because Beverly was more infatuated with Genevieve rather than Elliot. So it's still kind of weird. But at the same time, too, Elliot was really interested in Genevieve in the beginning. I feel like I'm like doing some gossip tea or something like that right now. But it was really interesting. What did you think of the Rebecca, Susan, like that whole family? It was really weird. Oh, I love that scene with the Japanese guy.
The Korean dude. Yeah.
It was so
disturbing.
Oh my God.
It was like, I was trying to think. You know what this kind of reminded me of, in a way? Kind of reminded me of The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
There's kind of like this society and culture that kind of like, they just want babies just to have babies, but there's not really like a respect for the process of having babies. Like there's no respect for motherhood, right? It's just like they just want it. Like Rebecca, she's all for profit. She doesn't care about, you know, the patients. She only sees this as like a big check, right? Yeah. And then you have like the other investors, they're kind of in it for the money too. So like, and even like, that's one thing about Beverly and Elliot too. They have different agendas too. Like Elliot, she wants, well, she says she wants what's in the best interest for Beverly, but at the end of the day, she kind of has her own thing going on, her own experience, and she kind of takes things the more compensative way, I guess. So she knows like, this is a world where like people have to, you know, make a lot of what's the word? Morally gray like choices. Right. And Beverly is like all about like, well, I just want to help people, right? She says like pregnancy isn't a disease. We shouldn't be treating these people like a hospital, more like a support center, right? Yeah. That's what I like about this show actually. Like in comparison to like The Handmaid's Tale, I think this show kind of expose like, you know, the trauma that women go through during like maternity and the different issues that they have, and looking at it in a scientific view as well as an emotional view, right? And even just like the different perspectives, like the partners, right? That one scene, oh my God, that one scene where she was looking at the woman that bled out or something because she didn't get the proper CAT scan, and then she saw her like holding the baby, like what could have been, right? And then she went back to the scene where she was bleeding out. Oh my God, that was such a great shot.
Oh no, that I think that's great commentary, and also the efficacy of just experimenting on patients when they could actually do these trials. I know that one family did something to this lady, and they like did something horrendous. It's like, how far is too far? And then also just having a baby grow and like get this test tube or something like that. Like, how ethical is that? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Like, it makes everything a lot more complex. Kudos to Tom. He donated sperm without getting paid. You know, my man Tom got it. I liked him a lot too, actually. I feel like I loved the conversation they had in that dinner scene. Yeah. I was like, wow. Although I was like, why did you kind of like betray? But at the same time, too, it was like, well, at least he said something. That's pretty.
I think he grew conscious at the end. He just kind of realized at the end, like, he might be like a pathetic person, but at the end of the day, he didn't sell out his only family, right? Right. Because this family is really fucked up. Like that whole dinner scene that they had, with when the parents came over, it was really toxic. But it was also like you said, it's very delicious too. I think that's one thing that draws you into the show is the toxicity of the relationship between the sisters, between the parents, and of course between, you know, their partners. It's just like so artfully done.
Yeah, her parents. I love how they show different aspects to maternity or just having children, and it's of course for the most part it's like through the woman's side. I like how we get to see their mom's perspective. Like, she was not prepared in the beginning. And I still like their relationship somehow too. You know what? Also, what was a great? Well, this is like very woman centric, and I find it actually like really cool how they approach a lot of stuff. You know, all these women, they have like different backstories and stuff. But you know who I actually like? The homeless lady. I love that scene.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that scene. The blocking for that scene was so perfect. How they just kept on commenting after each other. Oh my gosh, it was so good.
What did you think also of Greta? Because I was kind of confused with her subplot. But it seemed like she was like in the background, like collecting these kind of um almost like trinkets of
Right.
menopause and pregnancy, and then she was kind of collecting it for this like art gallery. Why did you
Right.
get that whole like subplot?
I was like, girl, you don't got your own period? Like, why you gotta go after theirs?
Right.
Like, damn. I mean, at first I thought she was I thought one of the twins were betraying each other somehow or doing something in the background. They got Greta to collect stuff, but it ended up not being that. It was just like this artsy thing. Greta's mom died in childbirth. So I think she has, which is interesting. I think her situation is complex because she has these two renowned gynecologists and she's like a maid for them of some sort. And she has this inside perspective on their complicated relationship. I find it really interesting how she's more of like this witness. It's as if life passes by her because she's always a maid, right? And she sees these two people. They're like well renowned. They have a lot of money. But at the end of the day, she's still like cutting up cantaloupe or something for them, right? And she basically lives there. And so she's doing her own thing. And life passes by her when we see a scene where I think Beverly walks by the actual art exhibit. Like everything just kind of passes by her. But what I found beautiful was that her father found her at the end. And so they have like this anchor, they're rekindling stuff. So I think in a way they did her character properly. I think she had a good send off at the end.
It's very sweet. Yeah. I like that they gave this kind of minor character such a great spotlight. Right?
Yeah.
And it still talks about maternity in a way because, like you said, she like the whole childbirth thing with the accident. It still speaks on different issues that we face or that women face with pregnancy, right?
Yeah, it was really beautiful. I think the whole show, and it's cool that it's a mini series. I'm glad they didn't overstay their welcome. I'm glad that I think with a mini series, I think they did this right. When we reviewed like Hello Tomorrow, I think they botched the bag with like certain themes and stuff. But I like how they really went straight to the point. And I think they did justice by Elliot and Beverly. I think it's something that hopefully David Cronenberg will be proud of watching. It's a really great show. If you guys need to check it out, I mean, if you guys want to check it out, definitely, I would recommend it. Yeah,
it's a great psychological thriller. It talks about our dependency on people, our relationships with people, and also our insecurities.
Right,
with Elliot, she's very insecure. Having her only person in her life develop a life for herself. So I think it speaks on a lot of those issues as well. A lot of social commentaries. The ending too was crazy with the whole switcheroo where she basically like takes her life, right? And the twins, they kind of left it on a cliffhanger. Do you suspect maybe they're planning like a season 2, or do you think this is kind of like a one and done?
Yeah, I think this is a one and done. I know they said it's like a mini limited series. I think it's one and done. I still don't know if in this interpretation, Beverly actually died because they showed Tom in the car and he was like distraught. I thought that they were going to pan the camera back to the backseat and Beverly was there and she could live her own life. But I guess it makes more sense because they're so codependent on each other. It kind of makes sense that she's dead. Yeah, I think I could see it just like that. And also, I find Rebecca's look at Elliot to be really revealing because I think she knows. I think she actually knows.
Well, she said she's her favorite. So
yeah,
I think she kind of picked up on the nuances between the two sisters, and then she realized like, oh, but she's her favorite, so she's not going to say anything, right? I really appreciate that ending too. And just the way this show was shot too, just like some of the close-up shot and the out of order shots. Like the beginning of the episode is actually like the end of the plot, right?
Right.
I like that kind of like out of order storytelling too. So great series overall. I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10. How would you rate it?
Oh, for sure. I'd give it a 10 out of 10. Again, you guys, you should check it out. It's not so much horror. I thought it was going to be horror.
I was too, yeah.
Yeah, but the way how they did it, I think it was actually really fun too. I'm not gonna lie, it was just really fun. And again, I think the dialogue was wonderful, very energetic and very entertaining. But
I mean, it has kind of gory elements too with it, but
yeah, right.
But it's still in a mature way.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, guys, that's our overall thoughts for this series. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't, thank you to our twins for joining us for this review. But yeah, check us out on whatever podcasts or platform you're listening to us. We have so much content planned already. Yeah, Akram, take us away.
Yeah, guys, I'm gonna start working on a video essay for 28 days, 28 weeks later, so stay tuned for that. And I also want to thank everybody who's still checking out my Last of Us Part 3 update. Thank you so much. That's doing really well. Yeah, we're gonna have more of that coming soon. Don't worry about that. Again, this season 5 that we're in, we have a lot of stuff planned for you guys and a lot of cool, perhaps debates and whatnot. So stick with us. Thank you so much. And as always, Dylan, say your thing.
Thanks for having lunch with us.
See you guys.
And see you.
See you.